time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the below. Abba Father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yeah. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele.
Yes, thank you very much, Pastor Sama. Okay, Reverend Brother Sama. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome once more to ABC Amba TV on our program, our Amba History. And today we have with us in the house, of course, Brother Joetanga, an elderly statesman who actually, though he says he's not a historian, but he has lived through a life that he can tell us what was happening and what is happening. And today, he will not only limit himself to Ambazonia, he will take us into different spheres to make us to understand that we are not alone in this battle. We are not alone in this battle. And before he comes in, I want to let the Ambazonians know that this fight, as I've been telling you from history, we have discovered that this fight is not an ordinary fight like others have strove. And today, they can tell the story. We all agree that this battle is the Lord's. And because it is the Lord's battle, a number of things are happening that some Amazonians, which of whom I would like to say that because that spiritual insight is not there, they are only dealing with their physique, that's their physical appearance and their intellectual awareness, then the spiritual aspect of it is missing, don't fully understand when we say that this battle is God's battle. I repeat myself. In our Amba history, of which we have made it very clear that we endeavor to tell you the truth and to share nothing but the truth with you, we have discovered and we are discovering that as far as Ambazonia is concerned, there are a lot of people who are Ambazonians who base their argument and their knowledge of Ambazonia on just their head knowledge and do not very much know or understand what the spirit actually is saying. And because they don't understand the spirit, the world of the spirit that actually exists, their analysis and their analogies actually run short. They run short of what? They run short of the reality of things. I do not know whether science has discovered this, but I want to say that the knowledge of the physical and the understanding of the nature and other things without the Spirit of God in any human being will make that human being to be blinded to an extent. And so the Ambazonian fight, to many Ambazonians, is a situation that actually has a blindfolding. What do you mean by blindfolding? Because many are not actually listening and don't have a free touch with the Spirit. That's I'm talking about the Spirit of God and what God is doing. So when we mention that this battle is not our battle, it is God's battle, to many of them, it's just the figment of man's imagination. It's not really what we actually have. And because of that, we get it a little bit wrong. Um, oh boy. Sorry for some mistake that I've done over there. Anyway, let's go ahead. So, what I'm saying is that the Ambazonian quest, which is what we are in for, is telling us that as far as this life is concerned, and as far as we are concerned, the Ambazonian fight is not just an ordinary fight, it's not just a fight for uh, an individual or for individuals. It is a fight that is conspicuously linked to God. When I say it is conspicuously linked to God, is because most of us who are God oriented, we do understand and we do know what God is doing. And we have seen that what God is doing is a reality to some of the things that are happening to us here. But anybody who does not fully understand and who does not know what the Spirit is saying, you will not be able to understand what I'm saying. But I'll do my possible best to let you know what I am really talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this is ABC Amba TV, and we are on our program, our Amba History today with Joetanga, our historian, who actually, uh, as today, will take us into a step that will be a little bit out of the peripherals of Ambazonia. And when he takes us into that step, uh, which is out of the peripherals of Ambazonia, we will be able to actually remember and be able to run with what he will tell us as far as Ambazonians are concerned. Now, as I have been emphasizing and re emphasizing, to tell Ambazonian people that God, whom we have all agreed that he is in charge of this fight, we can see what has happened, and we can see what has happened and is happening for the past how many years? 7 years. We've seen Ambazonia going higher and higher as a result of what God is doing. I don't know why I'm very optimistic about this, because there are many people who are of the Ambazonian origin who, though they agree and believe that this is a God ordained uh, fight, a God ordained struggle, yet when God does it, they don't give God the glory. And because we really thank our president, who has refused to accept the glory that is given over to God to take it for himself. No, we have said no, and he has said no. And that's why we agree with him. Many an Ambazonia that came in to pose to pose as the doers of the job, we discover that many of them are out of the game. How and why are they out of the game? They are out of the game because what is done by God, they try to attribute it to themselves. And I had said it, and I'm still saying it, it is not very common. In fact, it is not common to see a people or a person who does not recognize the existence or the power of God in his existence to do that which is absolutely right. And that's why I tell Ambazonians that there are some people who really want Ambazonia to be free, but they themselves are not free. You can imagine that money is voted to send to people who actually need the money, and a few persons sit down there, refuse to release the money, if at all, or take the money and pocket it and start telling stories. Oh, this was stolen. Oh, this was taken here. Oh, this was done that. And when the presidency jumps in to make sure that everything is in perspective, some individuals that really love Ambazonia but are authored and controlled by the devil, they step in there with a hindrance that if you ask them, they will tell you they don't know that is a hindrance. And then some will tell you very boldly, I am giving no account to anybody. La Republique. But as our history unfolds, and with the advent of our ethics, we are looking very critically into some of these happenings in our history. And of course, and definitely, we'll bring it to book. What am I saying? I'm saying that Ambazonia is an exemplary country that has and makes a difference with every other country, even though there are a few unscrupulous fellows that are sitting there trying to hinder the move of God. And as we have said and always say, there is nobody born of a woman that can stop the move of God. I think Reverend Dr. Victor has been sounding it very, very clear that as far as this fight is concerned, we will continue until we get into where God wants us to get into. And where does God want us to get into? Ambazonia. And come rain, come shine, we are getting into Ambazonia not because of our power, not because of our strength. We are getting into Ambazonia because of God Almighty, that every Ambazonia, an average Ambazonia, has agreed that this battle is in his hands. Well, if the battle is in the hands of the Ambazonians and in the hands of God Almighty, whom Ambazonians have enthroned to be the person in this battle, I think it will be very, very proper and very good for us to listen to seasoned Ambazonians who are distributed and scattered all over the place. One of the things that I want to make Ambazonians to know and understand is that I have come to realize that there are so many Ambazonians working out there in different countries, and they have vouched and vowed that Ambazonia must be free. I was talking to one of the security officers in the world under the UN, who is an Ambazonian in a particular country. I wouldn't tell you the name of the country. And he was like, hey, our historian, please, I want to let you know that we are all together in this fight and that President Sako should continue with his diplomatic moves. Meanwhile, the departments of Amazonia, each individual, should be true. But my question is, how can different heads of departments be true to themselves? There are a few of them whose moral standing is very, very plausible. But there are a few of them who really want to carry out their moral obligation for good, but there is that strong man called sin that is ruling in the hearts of these people. And some of them are very, very religious, but they have discovered that in many cases, their religious stance disgraces them. Because somebody will come out and quote the Bible, and when you listen and watch to see the person's actions, it's very contrary to what he or she has quoted. What is that? That's to tell you that there's a problem. And the problem is a problem that we said that for an average Ambazonian to succeed, give over your life to Jesus Christ. That is the only strong man that can change not only your physical, but changes you right within. And when you are changed from within, it will manifest in the outward. Don't take it jokishly. When you are changed inside, it will manifest in the outside, meaning that when Jesus takes over your life as an Ambazonian, and that is the only person you fear. You don't fear President Sako. You don't fear Honorable Speaker of the House, Dr. Winifred. You don't fear his very, how do you call it, respectable Excellency, the Vice President, Mr. Eric Ate. You don't fear the Ethics Commissioner or the Ethics Chair, Matt Dorothy. You don't fear any of these persons. You don't fear our Home Front Commissioner, but you fear God. And if all of us together have as our common denominator that watches and sees us, then no department will sit down and plan evil either because of an individual or a group of individuals, but will see God in his or her life or department and will do that which is right. And when we all do that which is right, I am telling you, Ambazonia will go like this. But when there is hypocrisy and there is outright jealousy and there is outright hatred, which is very common because of the sinful nature of man, you hate this man, you hate this woman because she did not congratulate you, because she did not like you, or this one don't like you, or this man doesn't like you. He doesn't want you to be in this position. He wants his brother or sister to be in this position. That is the natural man. That is the sentiment of a natural man. But when you are born again and you give over your life to Jesus Christ, you will see every Ambazonia in his or her corner fighting to make sure that we get to Ambazonia and giving an answer even where nobody asks questions. Even when nobody asks questions, the truthful and average Ambazonia will give an answer. Guess what? I heard somebody say that Satan comes through money and that Satan is money. I've never thought of that and I've never believed that. But a lot of things are happening that I am seemingly trying to buy over an unscriptural and an unbiblical, analogy. Why? Because when you see the way people react or act, you would be tempted to believe that this is the God that is holding people captivity. And the only God that holds people in captivity is the devil. So when somebody says that money is the devil, I can believe that. Because all this, shaking ourselves here and fighting here is because of money and position. You want to pull down this man so that you can climb up. And the white folks are seemingly trying to succeed to make the African man fight against himself. I told you guys, why is La République du Cameroon so mad and killing us with impunity? And some Ambazonians join La République du Cameroon, either overtly or covertly. Either they support La République du Cameroon outrightly, or they come inside Ambazonia, pretend to look like Ambazonians, talk like Ambazonians, but meanwhile, they are actually supporting La République du Cameroon. And we have seen that. I was told of a certain man who called himself a leader in one of the groups. I don't want to call that kind of a name here. And he was caught somewhere singing the La République national anthem. And when he was asked, he said he sang it for sympathy. What a joke. You sing the national anthem of La République du Cameroon for sympathy? What are you sympathizing with or for? A genocidal regime that is killing your people, and you go to sympathize by singing their anthem? No, you are part of it. You can't fool us all the time. No. And so, Ambazonians, I wouldn't like to go so far. Let me call our brother in, who will come in and share his thoughts with us. Our brother Joetanga, whom I have told you, this is a seasoned Ambazonian who has recognized and is continuously recognizing, and who knows and continuously knows what is happening now. It had happened before and is happening now. And he can say it very well because he did not learn it from school. He experienced it, he felt it, and he saw it. So after this musical pause, I will bring in our brother Joetanga to share a word with us as far as our struggle is concerned. Musical pause.
Papa, now you love me so, and you know my name. I give you glory. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name, oh Daddy. You know me, you know my name.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother, for that pause. Let's go over. And welcome back. Remember, I told you we will be today with our historian, Mr. Joetanga, who will be talking to the Ambazonian people, reassuring the Ambazonian people of what is actually going on and giving us hope in the midst of hopelessness, because he believes that as a God ordained struggle, as we have been saying over the years, a God ordained struggle definitely needs God's hands. And those who do not know God are very much unaware of who and what he can do. But when he does it, some people attribute it to other, how do you call it? Other natural or supernatural happenings. They try to ascribe the doings of God. But my friend, my senior, our elder statesman, Mr. Joetanga, knows that what is presently going on, that Ambazonia has been able to resist La République du Cameroon for 7 years, is no other person doing it than the God to whom this particular uh, struggle was handed over to. And so we have him in the house to just throw a comment on what I've just said before we go ahead to find out a number of things that I believe that Ambazonians are interested to know concerning this struggle. Welcome back, sir. And the microphone is yours. Go ahead and speak to the Ambazonian people.
Thank you for for receiving me this morning. Yes, you are right in saying that there's God behind this struggle. Otherwise, we would not have been able to withstand the mighty force of La République. Remember, in this fight, we are the underdogs. They are the ones with all the guns and all that, and yet uh, they are not winning. They are Goliath and we are David. Apparently, we are winning. So we couldn't have been winning without the the invisible hand of God
Of God.
behind us. So yeah, so that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me just go ahead and ask you this one particular question before we continue. With the revolt that is going on now throughout the French speaking nations of Africa, do you see La République revolting against France? And how do you rate their cooperative agreement with Russia right now? Over to you, sir.
Well, I don't see Cameroon revolting against France. Cameroon will toe the line. They will stay with France as long as the regime in power now is there. Their soldiers are ready to come out and quell any kind of rioting, asking the French to go away. So it will be very, very difficult. They might sit back and admire what is happening in Niger and Mali and Burkina Faso, but they can't dare to do it. That's why we are fighting because we think we can't take it anymore and we want to be out. We want to be out of there. That's why we are fighting and saying that no, we can remain under French neo colonialism. So we want to go away. But they don't have any intention of going away. I don't know whether it's out of fear or just because they are comfortable where they are. So they just sit there. I'm not sure they're comfortable where they are, but they don't have the courage to even raise their finger and say, no, this thing has gone on for too long. Let's stop it. If we want to have a relationship, let's have clear and equitable relationship, not this kind of uh, lopsided arrangement which we now have.
Um, yeah, but what do you say of the purported Russian agreement with La République du Cameroon? Is that real, or there is an undercover of what they are doing with France complicity so that the world can think that they have gone over to Russia? You have a comment on that?
I don't know whether they are doing that with the consent of France, because the Accord de Coopération which were signed just before or just after independence uh, stated in one of its clauses that the country cannot sign any military agreement with a foreign country without the consent of the government of France. It is stated there clearly. So maybe France, they have received the nod. France has nodded, not really participating, but just nodded that yes, you can go ahead. They might have received the go ahead of France to do all what they are doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, that is why I'm saying that. That is why I'm saying that uh, it could be a camouflage because if Russia is getting into, is Russia and France working together?
They are not right now. France is against the war in Ukraine, so
Ukraine.
they can be working.
Mhm.
They can be working together with Russia. But as you suggested, they might just allow Cameroon to sign those things, and then so that the attention, the anger is not focused on France, so that people can take their attention can now be shared between the anger with France and the welcoming of Russia we don't know what they are going to do. Yes, Cameroon is just trying to diversify its international relationship with more than one country. That's what they are doing.
Wow. Okay, we will immediately cross over to the next question that we have here for you. Um, Now we see this great revolt, whether great awakening and realization, uh, can I call it a renaissance of Africans springing up to shout on the top of their voices that, hey, 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 we are Africans and we must do it the African way. I just hear that France suspended their flight to Mali, and when they tried to restart, Mali gave them conditions. What can you tell our audience about the recent and the present going emancipation of African nations towards the continent of Europe? Because when it is affecting France, it's definitely affecting most of Europe. Over to you.
Um, I think mostly the anger is against France, mostly because certain countries, European countries, I will give you just the name of one, which is Italy. The prime minister condemned French Africa policy very vehemently, telling them that they were not doing the right thing and they were exploiting us. So you see, they are a European country too, but they do not side with France. In this regard, France stands mostly alone because at independence, France did not grant independence. Before independence in around 1958, General de Gaulle taught the French-speaking countries in Africa and proposed them a Union Française, communauté franco-africaine. Sorry, communauté franco-africaine. That's what he proposed to these countries. And there was a referendum in September 1958, and all but one of these countries voted yes to General de Gaulle's proposal. The only country who voted no was Guinea. And we know what happened with Guinea after that. I will leave that to for another time. So France was not going to leave, because that's why they did the referendum, so that they could stay and say the people want them to stay, and they stayed. But the United Nations kept on pressing them, and France had proposed another agreement in the place of the Accord de Coopération. That was before the Accord de Coopération, anyway. Which were going those proposals were going to be part of the new constitution, the new alliance between France and its African colonies. So they were going to be one community, French African community. That's what they were going to call it. So they were going to be one country. And if you look at that proposal, the same things which were later put in the Accord de Coopération were already there. They were going to have certain domains that were going to be common. They called it domain commun, which means that it's France, the master, that is going to manage those domains for all of these countries. This included the currency, finance, international relations, natural resources, strategic resources, and a few other long distance telecom, and a few other items. Those were the ones that France proposed to put under the domain commun, which means that it's France that was going to manage that, and then they will leave the other smaller issues to the respective countries to manage them. The other countries were not going to be other countries. They were going to be called overseas territories. So part of the French, part of the Franco-African community. So they were going to be called overseas territories, not overseas countries, because they didn't have any sovereignty. Okay, so when the United Nations put a lot of pressure on them, then they took those same proposals and put them in the accord, the infamous Accord de Coopération. Now they put them and tailored them to suit every country, every one of those countries. The weddings are not generally the same. There are little differences. If you see the one for Gabon is a little bit different from the one for Cameroon, but all those elements were inside there, and they said this is the choice. These two things go together. We grant you independence on condition that upon becoming independent, you sign this agreement and you hand over the sovereignty of your country to us, France. That's it. That is the essence of the Accord de Coopération. What they did not get through the Franco-African community, they were getting it through the Accord de Coopération. So this anger which people are expressing now has been pent up for a very long time, 60 years and more. So the people cannot take it anymore. They have realized that they don't need to continue under this kind of subjugation. That's why they are revolting, and rightly so. So I hope that the world can understand their situation, where they are coming from, and instead of claiming that they don't want coup d'états, whereas France has fomented more than 22 coup d'états in Africa, and nobody condemned those ones. This one now that is originating from the people themselves, everybody wants to condemn that. Nigeria has been prone to coup d'etats since 1963. The first one was in 1963, where Erunsi overthrew Azikiwe, and they have had so many coup d'etats in Nigeria. So why should they come up now and say they don't want coup d'etats anymore? Uh, we have seen what happened in Ghana. Rawlings came, overthrew the government, and straightened up everything, and then gave power back to the civilians. When they started going astray, he came back and rectified the errors and gave it back to them. So it's not because there are people in khaki uniform that they should not be leaders of their countries. We should distinguish between people who just take power because they want to be powerful, uh, and those who actually have the interest of their country at heart, whether they are soldiers or not. They, they can be great statesmen. They can be, and that's the case. That was the case of Ghana, the case of even Egypt with what's the name, Anwar Sadat, and today we have Rwanda, Kagame, whom everybody is praising. He was a soldier. Eh? He was a soldier. He came from the military, and he's doing a very good job in his country. His people are not in a hurry for him to go. They like him. So why can't we have soldiers in other countries who are dedicated to supporting their people rule the country? I don't see why.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Joetanga. You are really, really giving us a background food for thought to what is going on. What is shocking Africans is that the French did not call them overseas countries, but overseas, you call them overseas colonies or overseas territories, overseas territories, you know.
Yes.
So even though they pretentiously said they have given them independence, but they still held them with their accord de cooperation, and they were calling them territories. Territories that had no right to be voted for anyone in those territories to be voted in as the president of France, but could give all the resources that they have to France. This is terrible. And we've seen that Britain, of course, Ghana, had proven to us from the story have told us, Jerry Rawlings coming back 2 times and putting things straight and handing back the country to the people they call civilians. And the civilian coup d'etats that are going on, and they are still going on now, even in the midst of this talk that we are talking, in the midst of this tumult, that is the ghost of Biya still parading over La République du Cameroon after stealing elections from left and right from the only 2 candidates that have actually stood up to oppose him. I do not know whether Black's case was really real, but we know of Kamto and we know of late Frundi who actually stood up, and people know and understood that they actually won the elections, but none of these Tuchis is saying anything because their colonial master France has buried something in them, and they know that they can milk Africa out of these Tuchis and people that they have put in place. And when a person comes up like Kagame, I don't know, I was hearing that Rwanda was speaking French before, but now they are speaking English. I don't know how true that is, but I think that yeah, go ahead.
Rwanda, like Burundi, was a Belgian colony, and Belgium is a federation and has at least 3 languages, 3 official languages. But in Africa, they use but the French language as their language. So that's why in Zaire they speak French today, because it was a Belgian colony. And as I said, Rwanda and Burundi, they were all speaking French. But uh, just to show that they didn't want to continue as before, they decided to change their official language, because all the leaders, all the leaders who fought to take back their country were on exile in Uganda and Tanzania. So they
Okay.
went to school. Some of them started even from primary school, secondary school, and they did all their education, and they joined the army in those countries. So they were brought up as English-speaking people. So when they were coming back to their country, they brought the language, and they said, "Well, we are all going to speak English now," and that's it. They do not regret that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, after this musical pause, we'll take one or two more questions to help the Ambazonian people so that they can understand where we are coming from. After this musical pause, we are coming back to talk to the Ambazonian people. Let's get some.
Papa, now you love me so, and you know my name. If you go right, Papa, Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba, Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba, Father, you know me, you know my name.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Reverend, for that assurance. Remember, this is ABC, our Amba TV, and we are on our Amba history, re-emphasizing that the struggle that Ambazonia is fighting for their homeland is God ordained, and that's why we thank Reverend Sama telling us, reminding us in that song that our Father knows our name. God knows the name of Ambazonia. Thank you very much, Reverend. Now, Doctor, I call you Doctor. Yeah, you are. Let's come back to our topic. What can you tell the Ambazonian people and the Ambazonian audience? Because all these stories we are telling, they are to accumulate to help the Ambazonian know that their fight is not from the oblivion, it's not the first, it's not the last, possibly, but it is a fight that is existential. It has been existing, and we have only come out now physically to fight. So, what can you tell the Ambazonian people to do during these last moments of our struggling to get back to home? Is there a word you have to tell them to concentrate and see what we can do on homeland, or you want to let them go into propaganda of the social media as it is being spread all over the place? What I mean by focusing is like getting into things like, the drafting, the sharing of very good information that is helpful for us to get back to our hometown. What can you tell the Ambazonian people at this critical moment?
Um, we have reached a state where where there's no return. Victory is very close by. We just have to keep up in every aspect of our efforts to gain back our country. We are winning. We are not losing. We are winning. And what I would say is that we should remain steadfast and continue to contribute. I have done my own contribution already to my county as well as to the federal government coffers.
Right.
So please go ahead and do your contribution, and let us end this war as quickly as we can. There is no other alternative. Failure is not a choice for us. No, we must win, and we are winning. We are on the path of a victory. We should be careful about all the propaganda we hear, left and right. They will not help us. There are people who are just lying to us and trying to distract us. Let us not be distracted by all this propaganda we hear. Let's stay focused on our goal, on the price, and the price for us is Boya. So let's have our eyes there. We have our eyes on the price. Uh,
Let's
I
have
hope
our eyes on the price,
on
and the
the price.
price
Yes,
is Boya. Let's have our
Boya.
eyes on the
Yes.
price, and our price is Boya. Now, before you go, let me ask, this is just a paraphrase. Kagame, you said, was a military person. What is happening with the Ambazonian people who are military? What do you think is the fear in these people? Because the few of them that came out to be talking the language of military, though they have never been, I've discovered to be betrayals, I've discovered to be sellouts, I've discovered to be contractors. So, what do you think is really going on with the Ambazonian military? I mean, Ambazonian, not La Republic, Ambazonian military that has seen this torture and this suffering. I know that La Republic took a very fast step when they knew that this was going to escalate. They killed a number of our generals that they like in Ngokutunja, forgotten his name, and then
Mm. Field
Colonel
Marshal.
Eyong, Colonel
Mm,
Eyong, whom they murdered
mm,
in Bamenda in my
mm,
presence, you know,
mm, mm,
and a good number of other Ambazonian
mm,
tough men that they took
mm,
out
mm,
before this thing
mhm.
escalated. So what's happening with the ones that are alive today? Over to you, sir.
Well, the role the military people in Cameroon in our struggle are playing is not the one that Kagame and his friends did. Kagame was right at the top of the whole movement for independence. So the we have fighters, soldiers who are just there to fight, and they respect the civilian leadership and they work with them. That's all we ask of them. Work with our civilian leadership, let them carry out other things like international relations, contact, and
Diplomacy.
ways of supplying them with what they need to sustain the war until we win. So we have kept them, and rightly so, out of direct politics, because politics can be very deceptive. So
Yeah,
we don't want them to get involved in that.
mixed
Let
up.
them just focus on the fight.
Okay.
Where we say we have our eyes on the prize, they are mostly people with their eyes on the prize too, and they want to be in Boya just as we want to. Yeah.
Okay. The final question that I have for you for today, because you are coming back. We have a lot that you are. Thank you very much for instructing and teaching us to this point. Now, from your evaluation so far, can Ambazonians know if they have made any progress, or they have been discouraged from the time of the past 7 years? I know that there have been ins and outs, downs and ups, but from now, with the our president said that this year is a year of acceleration. Now, can you tell the Ambazonian people if progress has actually been?
Yes, we have made progress. We set out a long time ago to make our territory ungovernable to La Republique, and we can see that it is indeed ungovernable. They can't use our roads. They get into trouble when they try to go from one district to the other. Their administrators have run away from certain parts of our territory. They are all hiding either in Buea or in upstation Bamenda, and they are not the territory is not functioning as It should have been functioning if it were all under them. No, they have difficulty. They will never admit it, but they have great difficulty, and we are gaining more and more ground. So we are succeeding.
Wow. Well, Amazonians, you have heard it from the horse's mouth. Our elderly statesman who has lived in Boya, lived in Ambazonia, and then finally crossed over to live in La République du Cameroon, and can now put the two and three together to tell you exactly where we are in this third position. And according to his take and his outings, he would prefer very much, and that's why he is standing and supporting that we should get back to Boya as it was before the 60s, when these unscrupulous fellows came in and took over our land. If you ask him, he will tell you that the old wine is good, and our roads are worse now than they were at that time. And so many things have changed. Even morality
Mhm,
is
mhm,
terrible. So if you ask him, he will tell you that he wants us to get back, and that's why he is in the fight. Sir, can you give
mhm.
us your closing remarks for this program today? And at the end of the day, we will tell Ambazonians that you are coming back, most probably next week. Over to you, sir.
Yes, I will be coming back for us to continue with our discussions. There's still a lot to be said and to be learned. So I will continue to come back as long as I can. I thank our people for coming to listen to us speak and exchange ideas. And my message remains the same: stay steadfast. We are winning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. We are winning, and we look forward to seeing you as soon as possible next week. And it is on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that we say God bless the people of Ambazonia.